Right here, down. Protect your out. We put the work in. Let's finish. Come on, man. Let's do this. Family, I'll do 1, 2, 3.
You see, we dream chase, cause that's all we was given to start with. Then we realized the dream was obtainable. Now look at us.
What's going on, Eagles Nation and TMTP family? Welcome back to another episode here on the Main Thing Podcast Presents. It's your boy, Mr. Holmes, and after further review, the call stands. I'm still official with no stripes. Welcome back again to another episode here on the Main Thing Podcast Presents. We got day 9 news and updates. But before we get into that, continue to make sure to like these videos. They definitely help in the algorithm. Disrespect those comment sections. Share and subscribe to the community and our content. And last but not least, don't forget to do this. Turn on the notifications, aka them noties, so you don't miss when me and Big Hus continue to drop this pressure on y'all, all right? But let's get back to keeping the main thing. The main thing, this is what we came here for. It's hard to believe that 8 days are already down. Well, technically 9 days are in the book for the 2025 Philadelphia Eagles training camp. But today was full pads. Yesterday they had on shells, which is a helmet, shoulder pads, and shorts. But today they were in full grind mode. No playing here at all. Now, practice was 1 hour and 44 minutes. Some activities in today's practice included 11 on 11s, which is offense versus defense. Then 7 on 7s, which is usually the skill position, with that being quarterback, receiver, running back, tight end on the offensive side of the ball. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you have linebackers, safeties, and corners in 7 on 7. And then you have 1-on-1s where you go receiver versus corner back position group. You have the running back position group versus the linebackers, and then the safeties versus the tight ends. And then the Eagles also worked on some special teams, which the Eagles invest heavily in special teams, because that plays a pivotal part. Remember, it's always 3 phases of the game: offense, defense, and special teams. And then we worked situational work. I noticed that Nick Sirianni loves situational work. We don't never know what situation we're going to be in throughout the season. So it's great to be over-prepared than under-prepared. So when those situations do arise throughout the season, we know how to respond accordingly. But next steps after this practice include tomorrow's practice at 10 a.m. And then a walkthrough on Wednesday as we prepare for our preseason opener versus the Cincinnati Bengals Thursday at the Link at 7:30. But before we get into all that good stuff, we got to make sure that we keep the main thing the main thing. So some housekeeping news and notes upon the injury report include DNP, which stands for did not practice. Zach Bond, he was out with a back. Billboard Bond. A.J. Brown, hamstring. Lewis Seen, hamstring. Montrell Johnson, hamstring. Trevor Keegan, back. Terrace Marshall, knee. And Brian Young, groin. Now, all of those are soft tissue back, knee, and groin issues, so you have to be cautious with those. And then limited participants were Charlie Hewlett with neck, Mac McWilliams with a quad, Andrew Makuba with a shoulder, Nolan Smith with a concussion, and Ben Van Summeren with the ankle. Now, some great news on the injury front is Jahad Campbell with a shoulder and Devontae Smith with a back were removed from the injury report and were full participants on Monday. Now, that is great news if we're Eagles fans. We know that A.J. Brown is out with that hamstring injury, and we need to be cautious with him, of course. But with Devontae Smith being back in the fold and A.J. Brown being out of commission, as of right now, Devontae Smith has stepped into his normal role has been making plays ever since he has come back from that injury. Now, during practice, uh, Nolan Smith left early with the concussion. That's not great sign. Nolan, he didn't really get injured last season, so I'm hoping that this is just him knocking off some rust. We know how hard Nolan goes every single day, and we love that effort from him, but we also need Nolan to be healthy. So just for some precautionary measures, I know that the Eagles medical team is going to evaluate him, but that gives other people opportunity to step up. People like Josh Uche, Aziz Ojulari, Antoine Powell-Ryland. That gives those people an opportunity to step up. Now, Kenyon Green, he also left after vomiting. That's not a good sign for him. We know that he was bought here in the offseason via trade with the Houston Texans for CJ GJ. But Kenyon Green was supposed to be battling with Tyler Steen for the right guard spot. But so far, reports out of camp is that the right guard spot basically is Tyler Steen's to lose. And so Kenyon Green is getting snaps and reps over at the left guard spot. Now, we know Landon Dickerson has that all sewed up. That is Landon Dickerson's spot. No questions asked. But with Kenyon Green trying to make this roster and be part of Stoughton and U, it's hard to win a job and be a depth piece if you're not able to be on the field and get those meaningful reps. This is your first year here with the Philadelphia Eagles, hoping to carve out a new niche for you. But with you being on the sideline and getting limited reps, that's not going to help your case with the 53-man roster. But hopefully he's able to battle back and show something in camp. Tyler Steen did briefly go down, but he didn't miss any reps. That's a great, promising sign for his durability, because if we think back on it last season, Tyler Steen went down in the third day of practice and then unfortunately never got his job back because Mekhi Becton did so well at that right guard position. So to see Tyler Steen tough through it and fight for that position, that is a beautiful sight to see. Now, some practice visitors, that we had in the building was legend himself, Jason Kelce. Shout out to Jason Kelce and him and all his ventures that he's doing. And then as well, Rodney McLeod, Super Bowl champion Rodney McLeod, was in attendance as well. One thing that I heard and what I love hearing is Jason Kelce worked post-practice with rookie Laken Bakali, the tackle from Australia that we got with the exemption rule. So that is a person where if you're going to get some tips and some tricks from someone, that is somebody that you listen to. We all know that Jason Kelce is a sure ballot, first ballot Hall of Famer. So anytime that you can get some wisdom from that type of player, you definitely take that. So I love to see that. Now let's move on to the depth chart developments. So CB2, as we all know, it's a battle there. Keely Ringo today got a first team rep opposite of Quinion. So if we're keeping tally, we're doing tic-tac-toe, tic-tac. Now let's take that with a grain of salt. Last season, we know that in training camp, we saw Devin White in a battle with Nakobe Dean last season, and we kept seeing and hearing reports that Devin White was getting all the reps with the first team, and he was a projected starter. But then we saw how that turned out with Nakobe Dean overtaking that spot. So we have to keep in mind that I know Adoree has 5 days started and Keely has 4 days started, but it's still a long way to go in camp for that position. So we're just going to see, let the best man win. But it's good to have that healthy competition at corner, because obviously we know Quinion has that one side locked up. But with that, CB2 is going to be pivotal, because you're going to be going against teams number twos and sometimes teams number one, depending on the situation. So you have to be able to hold up your end of the bargain on that opposite side of the field of Quinion. Now let's move into the safety rotation. Sidney Brown, he was a first team nickel safety. He's been that 8 out of 9 days. That's what we need to see out of Sidney. He's going into his third season. We need to see Sidney get built brick by brick every single day. Sidney obviously is battling from injury from last season, but he's in a spot to solidify that starting role if he continues to be consistent and continues showing why Vic Fangio should trust him. And Cooper DeJean, he was the base safety next to Reed Blankenship. So I see that Vic Fangio is mixing up and mixing around Cooper in the back end. That is something great to see because, as we always mention here on this channel, we view Cooper DeJean as a Swiss Army knife. You can plug and play him anywhere in the secondary. So it's great to see Vic test out different positions and different looks for Coop, especially in the training camp portion. This is where you want to do a test trial before you get into the actual live games when it truly matters. And Andrew Makuba is still not in team drills. As I mentioned, he's limited, but he's getting back into the fold. He's getting some reps on field. He has to continue to stay healthy and get all the reps that he can to push for that starting spot. Because as we all know, that starting spot opposite of Reed is up for grabs. So whoever grabs it by the horn and submits themselves and separates themselves from the group, they will get that starting spot, but it's still to be determined, TBD. So we'll keep our eyes definitely on that. And of course, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is not going down without a fight. He continues to have a solid camp. Him and Jihad Campbell, both linebackers, are moving sideline to sideline, reading and reacting, coming downhill, making plays. I know that Jihad Campbell, he's been so ferocious out there that they had to kind of temper him down. But no, he's a young pup. He's ready. He wants to get out there. He's hungry. That's what you like to see out of your first round draft pick. Just seeing what Jihad Campbell is bringing, the energy, the juice, the tenacity that he's bringing, that is welcoming here in Philadelphia. But also Smile Munden, who's been making plays as well. He saw some first team reps too. So I wouldn't be shocked by the midway point of the season if we're not sitting here and saying, I think this might be the best core or group of linebackers that the Eagles have had in quite a while, and if not quite a while, ever. That group, I have high hopes for them, and I see a special ability and talent in that group. And we got to remember, Zach Billboard Bond's not even out there. So we're doing this, and also I'm forgetting Nakobe Dean's not out there as well. We're doing this with first and second year players. That's all you can ask for out of a rookie or a second year player, to understand the scheme, to understand the concept, and having Vic Fangio trust you and be able to put you in the best possible position to make the best play that's needed. Now, again, I said the right guard spot is darn near locked up with Tyler Steen. Him being an Iron Man, like I said, that's what I'm hoping comes out of it. As we saw last year, Mekhi Becton, he got nicked up here and there, but for the most part, he was healthy. So I'm hoping that Tyler Steen stays healthy. But he has been on every first team rep through camp. So that is a great sight to see. I just hope that he remains healthy and can contribute, as we know that he can. Now, offensive lineman, the depth notes. Cameron Williams got his first second team action. It's good to hear and see the big man, big boy out of Texas in there getting some reps. I know that he can be a player in the future, and he has been getting beat up a little bit in practice. I know they said Josh Uche hit him with a nasty spin move like it was a circle button on PlayStation, and then bull rushed him. But iron sharpens iron. You can only be as strong as your weakest link. So with him being a rookie and Josh Uche being somewhat a vet in the NFL, it's good to get those types of reps because down the road in the future, he'll remember that and make mental notes and work to improve to be better. Now, the offensive lineman, the second team was Kendall Lamb, Brett Toth, Drew Kendall, Darian Kennard, and Matt Pryor. Now, punt returners, like I mentioned, they worked on special teams. So this is a spot that I'm keeping my eye on because we bought Avery Williams in from Atlanta to do punt return duties. Of course, we don't have Britton Covey no more with him leaving to go to the Los Angeles Rams. So we have a void back there. And punt return is something that is pivotal in the game. You can see how if you don't have the correct people on punt return, that can cost you a game. Your punt returner can muff the punt. Your punt returner can misjudge the punt and make your offense be pinned down in our own territory to make us drive longer distances. You have to have somebody back there who is smart and has great ball skills to fill that job. Now, the punt returners that they had at practice today were Anaya Smith, Cooper DeJong, Jahan Dotson, Taylor Warren, Giles Jackson, and Avery Williams, like I mentioned, was supposed to be a punt returner, but he was working more as a personal protector. But out of that group, I would definitely like to see Taylor Warren or Giles Jackson or Anaya Smith take control of that because we all know Coop, he's a starter. Vic Fangio is going to have none of that with his starter and again, his Swiss Army knife back there doing punts. I know we had to do that last season when Britton Covey was injured and Coop did punts, but Coop is going to be asked to have more responsibility this season, and I don't see Vic Fangio allowing him to be back at punt return. So now Jahan Dotson, he is penciled in, well, not penciled in, but darn near a shoo-in to be wide receiver 3 on this team, and I don't see Nick Sirianni or Kevin Patullo wanting Jahan Dotson to be back there to fill punts. So that only leaves a handful of guys. But I do like Taylor Warren out of Wake Forest. He was an undrafted free agent for us this season. And then Giles Jackson as well out of Washington. They have some speed on them. And Anaya Smith, you haven't been getting a lot of reps on the offense, so special teams will be your bread and butter. So maybe you can take control of the punt return role and do damage that way and get on the field. But hopefully we find the perfect punt returner for us for this season. But we have training camp to continue to figure that out, and then also these preseason games. So I know that they're going to put the best man on the field for that job. Now let's switch over to some standout defensive play. Now y'all know how I like the defensive side of the ball. I'm a little biased. I played corner, so you have to understand. But Quinyon Guantanamo Bay continues to impress. Shout out to him, and a slew of other Eagles, Coop, Jordan Mailata, Devontae Smith were all on the top 100, so shout out to them. But Quinyon has been the standout player in the 2025 training camp. Again, today it was nothing new. He picked off Tanner McKee in the 1s versus 2s period, that being the 1 defense versus the number 2 offense. He peeled off his own man to jump a route, to jump a throw to Harrison Bryant. They said that Tanner McKee didn't even see, like he had blinders on. He didn't even see Quinyon in that position to make that play. But that just shows the work that Quinyon's put in. That's showing that he's understanding the scheme. He's understanding his responsibility in the back end and understanding that he is our number 1 corner. And he's going to be tasked with a lot of assignments, but who else will we rather have to go against those type of assignments and handle that the way that we know he can? And of course, this is his 2nd interception of training camp. You know, the first came off of QB1. So he's just picking off quarterbacks left and right in camp. maybe he's waiting to try to get Kyle McCord and DTR. We'll never know. But Quinyon definitely is having a great camp so far. He has elite awareness, and his hands have improved vastly. They said that he worked a lot on his hands in the off season with the jug machines and just doing pass catching drills to make sure that his hands are up to par where he wants them to be. So kudos to Quinyon, because we know that Quinyon can be here for a very, very long time. And it's great to always have a corner who can shut down one side of the field. When you have that corner that can shut down one half of the side, that takes a toll on the offense, because now they have to figure out a different scheme and a different concept to avoid that corner and go to the opposite side of the field. But we definitely have a young stud blossoming right in front of our eyes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. And then this one kind of shocked. So I'm thinking maybe it might be QB1 to Smitty or Saquon or Goddard making a play on offense for the offensive player today. No, to my surprise, it was DTR, the aforementioned Dorian Thompson Robinson. He dropped a deep dime to Giles Jackson, about 50 yards or so, 50 plus yards. They said that Jackson adjusted mid route and tracked it like a center fielder, because Jackson thought that the ball was going to his outside shoulder and it was more thrown inside. So Jackson had to adjust on the route and make a big boy play. But he beat Perry Nickerson in coverage. Great ball by DTR. Great catch by Giles Jackson. As I mentioned, that is somebody to be on the lookout. If he can't get his reps on the offense, that'll be somebody to look out for on the special teams. As we all know, as we're talking about receivers, we know 1 and 2 are locked up in 3 for the most part. But that 4, 5, and possibly 6 wide receiver role, if we do keep 6 receivers, somebody's going to have to come out the pack and separate. So maybe Giles Jackson is throwing his hat into the ring and submitting his name for one of those depth pieces with the receiver corps. Now, again, I told you that Nick Sirianni loves situational focused football, and I don't blame them. Great coaches practice everything, not just the minimal X's and O's. They do everything. So we practice backed up scenarios inside the 5-yard line. So the clutch moments of today in the situational focus period was QB1 hit Smitty on 3rd down and 6 for a first down near the end. Hurts and Smith connected multiple times. Smith driving, as I mentioned, with Arthur Juan out, and Jahan Dotson showed up. That's all I can ask. I have high hopes. We have high hopes for Jahan Dotson to man that 3rd wide receiver role. He's young, about 25, 26, if I'm not mistaken. He has a bright future in the NFL and has a chance to carve out a significant role and a future role with us here in Philadelphia if he decides to take that next step. So it's great to hear Jahan Dotson in the news. We know what Smitty's going to give us. We know what AJ's going to give us, as I mentioned. But to see Jahan Dotson in the news and notes and making plays here in training camp is a great sight to see, and definitely a great sight for our offense. Now, a person who I personally didn't have on the final 53-man roster, but Big Hus did have him on the 53-man roster. Don't look now, but Eli Bricks is coming on strong, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. He had multiple PBUs today, in the right place at the right time, making great breaks on the football and playing through the receiver's hands. That is what we're asking of Eli Bricks. We know that Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo are battling for that cornerback 2 role opposite of Quinyon. But again, he is making play after play after play, day after day, and that's all you can do in training camp. as much as Big Fangio is seeing you, as much as Christian Parker is seeing you, your position coach, that it's great to put good tape out there. So when the coaches go and evaluate the process, hey, at the end of the day, they might say, look, Eli Ricks is making a lot of plays. We might have to consider him for the starting job, but keep doing what he's doing. I know it was one play where he did get beat deep, and he kind of slowed down on a play, so we don't want to see that. But the consistency, you have been consistent for a couple days back to back, but let's continue to see if Eli Ricks can continue fighting for that starting role, or even at worst, the fourth cornerback spot. Now, Big Fangio did acknowledge he's now in the cornerback competition. Like I said, I don't know how much stock to put into that, but with Big Fangio acknowledging that, look, sky's the limit for Eli Ricks. Continue doing your thing, and we don't know. It's still a month away from our banner dropping when we face the Dallas Cowboys at the Link. So you have a lot of time in training camp. You just got to continue to make some plays. So let's go over to the offensive versus defensive line one-on-one highlights. Tyler Steen, he had 2 strong reps versus Moro Jomo. That's a much-needed bounce back because Moro Jomo's been having his way with Tyler Steen throughout the camp, and much more so with the offensive line. Moro Jomo has been a one-man wrecking crew in the middle of that defense. But with Tyler Steen tired of getting bullied by Moro Jomo, he put on his big boy pants and went to work. So it's good to hear that. I know that they said that Moro Jomo tried to beat him with some speed, and Tyler Steen showed off his quick feet and quick twitch movements to stay in front of Moro Jomo, and then Moro Jomo tried to bully him with a bull rush, which Tyler Steen anchored down and was able to stop Moro Jomo's momentum. So that is great to hear. Jordan Mailata, All-Pro Jordan Mailata versus Jalix Hunt. Jalix Hunt got him once with a bull rush, which we all know is a rare win. Jordan Mailata has been having a great training camp. So to see Jalix Hunt get that win against Jordan Mailata, that is a learning experience for both parties involved. Mailata, we all know what he brings to the table, but you got to remember, he's getting older year by year. But to see a second-year edge rusher win on that occasion, that's good for Jalix Hunt, because now he is still more confidence in himself that he can go. If he can get past Jordan Mailata once, he can get past a lot of tackles in this league. So Jordan Davis, he beat Brett Toth with 2 different pass rush moves. He beat him with a swing move first, and then beat him with a punch and pull concept. So Jordan Davis, we know he's in his 5th-year extension. We're hoping that Jordan Davis shows what he is capable of doing, because I see him here for the long-term plans. And I believe that Vic Fangio sees the same thing. We just have to make sure that Jordan Davis is locked in. And so far, every season, he always makes strides. He's always cutting weight. He's always getting bigger, stronger, and faster, and seeming as if he is understanding the scheme and concept and what Vic Fangio is asking of him at the D tackle position. Now, I mentioned Josh Uche earlier in the video. He dominated the rookie Miles Hinton. He beat him with a quick move and a bull rush. It's great to hear Josh Uche's name, because as we know, he's wearing the number 0. We know from last season, 0 kind of scarred all of us, if not darn near every single one of us. So the new number 0, the new Agent 0, as Big Hus would say, he's making plays, and with him being on a 1-year deal, it's a proven deal. Whether that be with us next season, he re up with us, or gets a bag somewhere else, it's prevalent for him to come out and show what he can do, being on the number 1 defense, and having some need at edge rusher. Of course, like I said, with Bryce Huff departing, and then Brandon Graham departing and Josh Sweat departing. We needed some help on the edge outside of Jalix and Nolan Smith, who I mentioned went out with a concussion. Josh Uche and Aziz Ojulari and APR are tasked to step up and fill that role. So it's great to see that Josh Uche is continue to make plays on a day in and day out basis to get into that edge rushing rotation. Now, Ty Robinson, he continues to dominate Bakalai. They said that Ty Robinson has been dominating Bakalai since the pads have come on. But he beat him with a swipe plus some swim moves. We know that Ty Robinson is 26, so he's a little ahead for someone coming in as a rookie and in the third round. He's a little bit more advanced. But with the room that he's in, with the coaches that he has, I don't see why Ty Robinson can't turn into a monster. We know that he has the physical tools, the work ethic, the high motor. It now is just translating and getting used to the NFL speed and NFL pace. But continue to work, and your time will come, young fella. Now we're on to the wide receiver versus DBs in the one-on-one highlights. We had Eli Ricks with the PBU on Jahan Dodson. But then, as I mentioned before, later got beat deep on a deep ball. Quinyon versus Smitty. That is must-see TV. That is pay-per-view. That is all of the lights right there. Smith had separation. Smitty had some separation on Quinyon on both reps, but both roles were off target. But it's great to see two alphas battling out. As I mentioned before, iron sharpens iron. So that is what you want. Competition breeds champions. And that is what we're striving and aiming to do again this season. Elijah Cooks is looking very, very good. He continues to make plays on a day in and day out basis. He had a nice catch versus Dory Jackson. His stock continues to rise here. Now, we're looking for a fourth and fifth wide receiver. Elijah Cooks, 6'4", 215 out of San Jose State. He's a bigger body guy that we like here in Philadelphia. So if he continues to make plays, I don't see why he won't be able to make the 53-man roster. I continue to keep my eyes on him to see what he does. And this is his chance not only to show in the practices, but then when these preseason games roll around, show what else you can do in front of the world. So let's see what Elijah Cooks continues to do. His stock is up, and he's looking nice at camp. Keely Ringo had a defensive pass interference versus Darius Cooper. Now, Keely's technique is still inconsistent. This is not the first time that he has been flagged for DPI. He gets a little handsy and a little grabby sometimes against the receiver. So that's something that he has to work on. Again, the technique has to be there. But that's something where get with Christian Parker, continue to study, get better every single day. Don't take this the hard way. If you get beat, if you get DPIs, it's a part of the game, but it's how you respond. It's how you overcome adversity. Continue to be a sponge, continue to learn, continue to ask questions, and continue to watch film. That's how you continue to get better and continue going against Smitty, against AJ. That's only going to make you better going against some of the most elite talent in the NFL. Now, Johnny Wilson, he had a deep catch on Perry Nickerson. It seems like Perry Nickerson was just getting beat today, but that's no slight. Johnny Wilson had a catch today, and then finally Giles Jackson created separation and then dropped it. That's not going to help your case or stock, but again, all around great battles in that one-on-one arena. Of course, we all know that with one-on-ones, usually the advantage is to the offense. Of course, with them knowing the route that they're running and then be able to run forward in full speed. As a corner or safety, you don't really know what routes the receivers are running. So advantage offense. But nonetheless, great competition. And Will Shipley continues to show off his shiftiness. I am very intrigued by Will Shipley. I was excited about drafting him last season out of Clemson. Will Shipley, he gives a different type of dynamic in that backfield. He is more of the finesse guy. He can run through the tackles, he can run outside, but then also he's a great pass catcher. Saquon shouted him out for saying that Will Shipley is one of the smartest, if not the smartest back in that room. He's just a smart guy overall. So that is a huge kudos from Say 2K, because we know what Say 2K does on that football field. But Will Shipley continues to show why he's pushing for that number 2 spot behind Saquon Barkley. Obviously, as we all know, Kenny Gainwell departed for the Steelers. So that number 2 spot is a battle between him and AJ Dillon. But both players are having a solid camp. But if we had to give the nod as of right now, Will Shipley seems to be in the lead for RB2. He had a nasty spin move up the gut during team drills. Now, we all know that's running through the A gap or the B gap, either the 2 hole or the 1 hole. For you to do a nasty spin move up the gut, that shows the trust that you have, not in yourself, but in the offensive line, and be able to know where you're going to be once you finish that spin move, because spinning in the middle of the field is not the best thing to do. But hey, Will Shipley said, I defy the odds. He had quick feet and great balance while doing so. So again, it's great to see that Will Shipley is picking up kind of where he left off last season, and hitting the ground running to try to shore up that RB2 position. Now, before I get out of here, I have some odds and ends that happened at practice. So long snapper update. We signed Christian Johnstone. He filled in for Charlie Hewlett. Again, Charlie Hewlett is battling with a neck injury. So we signed an emergency long snapper so that we can have someone snap in practice for punt, for field goals, etc. Now, Braden Mann, who is in his final season with the Philadelphia Eagles, he's been booming punts left and right all training camp. But he had his best showing of camp today. So look for Howie to lock him up at some point, maybe during the season, because we haven't had a punter of this caliber in a while, and we know how much special teams matters here in Philadelphia and matters in football in general. So we want to make sure that we extend him and give him a contract. Thomas Booker, again, T-Book, he batted a pass with the 2s. He continues to have a strong camp. So far, he's in front of Ty Robinson, but again, it's a long camp. But Thomas Booker continues to make plays all through camp. Jalen Carter, he had jumped off sides. Tyler Steen drew him with a quick trigger, hit the ooga booga booga alert, and then Jalen Carter jumped off sides. So got to be more disciplined there. Again, he's just getting back into practice, but I know what Jalen Carter brings, and I know that he's not going to make that mistake too often. Moro Jomo also jumped off sides, so the defensive line being a little eager, being ready to get off that snap and get into that backfield and get after the quarterback. They got to be more disciplined. But again, this is training camp, so you can't get too upset. They're ready. They're dogs. They want to get after it. So again, we can't be too upset with that. Now, Colin Granson, he was active over the middle. He has been the best tight end. He has been taking advantage of the middle of the defense here in training camp. And he's also been the best tight end behind Dallas Goedert and Grant Calcaterra. So if we do keep 3 tight ends, be on the lookout for Kyle Granson possibly securing that spot. And so in the live tackling period with the 3rd team, Derek Powell dodged 1 tackle, but later got truck stick by Maxon Hook. And then Kyle McCord hit Taylor Warren on a touchdown, with that being a slant route. I like Kyle McCord. That's going to be a battle that we continue to look after with him and DTR, because they said that Both of them have been making plays in camp, have been making the correct reads and the throws. So these preseason games are going to be able to separate and see who wins that tight end, that QB3 spot. And on the final rep of the period, the final rep of practice, Shadarick Powell was stuffed at the goal line way to end practice on a very, very high note and a very, very loud note with that impact at practice. But again, the Eagles are back at it tomorrow morning. Let us know, how do y'all feel about the cornerback 2 position, and who do y'all want to see take control of that position? But again, look, it was definitely a blessing and a great time talking with our supporters and family today. Look, let's continue to do our job, all right? Let's continue to like these videos, continue to disrespect those comment sections, share and subscribe to the community and our content. And last but not least, don't forget to turn on the noties so you don't miss when Swoop comes out with the Eagles news and updates. But again, if you don't know, which you already should, I go by Mr. Holmes, and this is the Main Thing Podcast Presents, where we keep the main thing the main thing. Again, it's been truly a pleasure doing this video for you all today, and I hope that you all continue to stay blessed. And no matter what anybody tells you, you can do whatever you want to do if you put your mind to it and have faith. But again, I'm out.
It was I was gonna make a lot of money doing what I wanted to do. I went after it, and it was a struggle to achieve it. But you know what? I caught that bitch. Dream chasing.